Alzheimer's disease. I grew up as a child with my grandfather, going fishing, going to the ice cream parlor, finding lizards, salamanders, frog hunting, going fishing, doing a lot of things with my grandfather growing up. As a child, we really wouldn't notice any type of forgetful activities. It wasn't until my teenage years where I really started to notice my grandfather would put his keys in the freezer. We'd be going to this grocery store and he wouldn't remember how to get home. In the later stages, he actually would forget my name, forget where we were going. So more so not age-related type of forgetting. It was more specific, much more severe. I'd like to share with you a statistic. In the United States, 5.3 million people are living with Alzheimer's disease. And a new individual is diagnosed with the disease every 70 seconds. That's a lot of folks. One of the most common symptoms of Alzheimer's is memory loss, more specifically short-term information. If you ever come across someone, they can always reminisce maybe when they had gotten married or stories when they were a child. Not so much the short-term information. And it is very difficult to distinguish between age-related forgetting and Alzheimer's. It's very kind of tricky. A lot of people think, I'm just forgetting. I'm getting Alzheimer's, where truly it's just more age-related and vice versa. Maybe they're forgetting important date or tasks. That's more dementia side or Alzheimer's. Asking the same information over and over would lead to more Alzheimer's. Having to use a memory aid, maybe putting a picture on the wall to show to brush your teeth will remind them to brush their teeth. That's more Alzheimer's. And families having to remind them of different things, how to handle things they used to do on their own. We need to step over here first because it's safer. We need to go around this rug because you can trip. Things that they used to know how to do on their own. Just a quick little visual aid I'd like to show you. It just shows the columns of signs and symptoms, typically related changes on this side, and then signs of Alzheimer's on this side. So as you go across, signs of Alzheimer's are much more specific. Maybe it's poor judgment and decision making. You've got inability to manage a budget, losing track of date or the season, difficulty having a conversation, misplacing things and being unable to retrace your steps. Whereas typical age-related symptoms, making a bad decision once in a while, maybe missing a monthly payment due to stress, forgetting which day it is, maybe remembering at a later date, sometimes forgetting which word to use. We can get tongue-tied. And then losing things from time to time. So really you can notice there's a pretty large difference. And this scale itself is something with Alzheimer's they would have a difficulty following. They wouldn't realize that it's going side to side versus there's just names and numbers and different things on the pages. So they would have a difficult time following that. There are 5 symptoms I'd like to discuss with you in regards to Alzheimer's. The first symptom is they begin to experience a change in their mood or personality. That can be more so anxious, confusion, fearful, depressed. You're taking them outside of their comfort zone where normally they'd be able to cope, and they're experiencing all these emotions now. Another symptom is sudden change in their mood. They can go from happy, laughing, to all of a sudden crying and yelling out in anger, back to happy. You really go from mood to mood for no specific reason. The third symptom is trouble understanding visual images. The visual aid that I showed you here, they'd have a hard time understanding and comprehending and following along. You can have a simple little sign that hangs vertical, and they can't realize how do you read that? How does that go? It just seems jumbled to them. They can have difficulty judging distance, reading. They can pass by a mirror like what's behind me and see their reflection and think someone else is in the same room, which can be very scary for them. The fourth symptom is challenges with planning or problem solving. This is more their inability to develop or even follow a plan. They have trouble following a recipe where you would kind of go step by step, whereas they may pick a piece on the third step and then jump to first step and to the last step. They don't realize that there's a process to it. Difficulty concentrating, taking much longer to do things than what they did before. Maybe you could shower and get dressed in 5 minutes, and now it takes them over an hour. The fifth symptom is decrease in one's judgment. This can be the scariest one, where you see them wandering across the street, not even looking side to side to ensure that there's no vehicles. Telemarketer using poor judgment, dealing with money. So a telemarketer calls and they ended up giving them large amounts because they feel this is what they're supposed to be doing and not realizing it's an actual telemarketer. It's really hard to see your loved one go through these changes. It was hard for me to see my grandfather experience a lot of these different things, especially in my teenage years. There is no cure for Alzheimer's. The best you can do is finding support as early as possible. Finding support groups, caregivers, really getting that extra support and information to be able to be prepared. I hope you learned something from the 5 different symptoms, and I thank you.